Hello and welcome to another standard video. There's a new dawn in the format and we finally get to try some more creative ideas that maybe wouldn't have worked before all the bannings, since the format has now slowed down just a little bit. And this idea was brought to me by one of my supporters on Patreon, so shoutouts to Bertes for coming up with the concept being get Mind Splice apparatus into play, ideally get it up to 3 oil counters, so all our instants and sorceries get a 3 mana discount, and then we can start looping 2 copies of Sorceress schemes, normally 4 mana to return an instant or sorcery to our hands, and we also get to add a red mana. Can also get back a card with flashback that we own in exile, so can get back copies of itself that we might have flashed back as well, since it also has flashback for 4 and a red. But let's say we just have 2 copies of schemes, 1 in the graveyard, 1 in hand, cast schemes for now a single red, thanks to the 3 mana discount from apparatus, get back schemes, rinse and repeat, so those can infinitely keep looping themselves thanks to the red mana they generate each time. Now we're still not really making any progress that way until we're also introducing Artist's Talent into the mix, saying whenever we cast a non-creature spell we may discard a card if we do draw a card. So now we can essentially draw through the entire deck, and then our actual win condition is going to be a simple 0/1 wizard token generated by our Regency, so that's built into the mana base, which is perfect, so we don't need to dedicate any extra cards to the actual win condition. And then even though our opponent might remove the wizard token, we still have plenty of counter spells to protect it, can eventually draw another Regency to combo off, and we could also maybe get there with Burst Lightning, just burning the opponent to death, since we'll be able to kick it pretty easily, dealing 4 damage each time, and then it's a red mana to be able to get it back out of the graveyard, since the schemes can kind of loop each other, can flash one back, so that can also generate card advantage. So that's basically our game plan in a nutshell. The talent is also very useful since we can level it up to discount our non-creature spells by 1, so that also applies to other enchantments and artifacts, unlike the apparatus, which only discounts instants and sorceries. So that way with leveled up talent, we maybe only need 2 counters on apparatus to combo kill. And then the rest of the deck gets to play a bunch of interaction. We mentioned Burst Lightning, can be a win condition but also removal. We've got a Braid, and then a couple sweepers with Brotherhood's End, especially powerful if we expect blue-white artifacts to take up in popularity. And then we also have a mass bounce effect with Aetherize, returning all attacking creatures to their owner's hand, so that can also be a nice way to buy ourselves more time. Can also disguise it pretty easily since we're playing it alongside Mind Splice apparatus, so passing with 4 mana up could represent both cards. We can also cheaply bounce opposing permanents with Serum Snare, which also lets us proliferate if we bounce a permanent with mana value 3 or less, and proliferating means adding extra oil counters to the Mind Splice apparatus to speed things up. We also have 1 Facade in the mana base, which can also add extra oil counters to the apparatus, and we can also proliferate those counters to begin with, so that can also maybe speed up our combo turn. And then we can also proliferate with Experimental Augury, which is just a cantrip to help assemble the combo pieces. And then we have a bunch of counter spells as well, with Syncopate being excellent alongside apparatus and all the cost reduction. Can also exile the spell we counter, so that's been a nice upgrade that's been reprinted in Final Fantasy. And then 3 steps ahead has always been an all-star alongside the apparatus, since we'll keep getting a bigger and bigger discount, so we can choose multiple modes, including countering spells, making copies of the apparatus, or maybe even the wizard token once we're closing out the game, and can also draw and discard to dig through the deck. And then a stock up gives us a little bit more card draw to tie everything together in case we maybe don't find the talent, 3 steps, or the schemes for card advantage. And then the mana base, of course, has the 4 copies of Regency. It is a land if it's in our graveyard, so we cannot get it back with the Sorceress schemes, but of course we still have 4 copies total in the deck, so usually we're not going to run out. And then we also get to use some utility lands here. The Monastery can maybe give us extra cards in a drawn-out game, and the Village can make our spells uncounterable, useful in control matchups. And then plenty of basics, the Verge, Sheevan Reef, Thundering Falls can also make sure that both the Village and the Monastery enter untapped. And then we've got the Facade. Don't want to overdo it since we do still have some other color requirements, but it can be very useful if we can draw it alongside apparatus. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play with a promising hand. Got some good interaction, talents. Goes digging to maybe find a Mind Splice apparatus. Sadly, it does count as a land, so I wouldn't be able to get it back with the schemes. But yeah, right now we just need to focus on making sure we don't die. since I don't really want to spend 3 mana making a wizard token early on. And then against blue-black, let's just make sure to resolve our enchantment before they can maybe counter it. So they could be on Dimir mid-range. Could still have bounce spells for the enchantment. Drowner's fine. Alright, so not opposed to leveling up the talents. The only drawback, I guess, is our opponent being able to ninjutsu a Kaito. Although Kaito still is dealt damage by the Brotherhood's End. Yeah, it's a close call actually. Maybe should have gone Burst Lightning, tapped Falls. So we do get punished if they have a Kaito. Alright, dodge that bullet. It's gonna be Cecil instead. So now we wouldn't mind casting a Brotherhood's End. Start with Thundering Falls. Could have also gone digging for an untapped red source. And then Schemes is perfect to put in the graveyard. So if I Schemes back a Schemes, it doesn't accomplish much besides triggering the Artist's Talent. Could keep up Burst Lightning. Yeah, let's just pass. The main concern here would be our opponent casting Enduring Curiosity. And then I might want to dig for a counterspell. Otherwise I'm fine taking 4. And then we could Augury end of turn. Discard another Schemes, since we can eventually flash it back. And find 3 steps. A land is also tempting. But yeah, let's keep up interaction for Curiosity. And then now I can Brotherhood's End with 3 steps back up. And then Aetherize may not be necessary. Would have liked to hit my land drop. Okay. Pass it back. Still keep up 3 steps for Enduring Curiosity. There it is. So we can counter it. That's the best way to answer it. And then a Braid can maybe go. Since at least the kicked Burst Lightning can deal with the Restless Reef. Find Syncopates. Can maybe counter their next big play. Alright, the rest is a good one. Can try and punch a hole in our plan. But yeah, the Artist's Talent is proving to be quite useful in this matchup. Sculpting our draw, giving us that discount. And the opponent takes our counterspell. Mirrex eventually also going to be an issue. But yeah, hopefully we can string something together in the meantime. So another Augury. Really just wants to find Mind Splice Apparatus at this point. But hitting land drops is still useful. So maybe Brotherhood's End can go. Find the Serum Snare. And then another Artist's Talent is still somewhat useful. Can go for the untapped Verge. So we have Kick Burst Lightning available. I think I cast the Talents. Only cost me 1 mana. So I can still pay for Phantom Interference. And then now Serum Snare. Decent answer to Enduring Curiosity. Maybe the Augury goes, since we now have double talent to kind of cantrip us through the deck. And I think I still play my land out. Could tap out completely by leveling this up as well. Yeah, since we don't have a great answer to another Enduring Curiosity, I can just bounce it. May as well let them get a hit in. And our opponent's just activating Mirrex. So that's fine. Now have 2 level 2 talents. So it's 3 mana to flash back the Schemes, which gives us a mana in return. And another Cecil. Aetherize, also a good way to deal with a bunch of tokens. But yeah, let's flashback Schemes, get back Schemes, I want to say. Could also go for a counterspell. But yeah, we want to make sure we can eventually get the Schemes to loop. And then now, maybe Burst Lightning no longer needed. Serum Snare can go. And there's the apparatus. So I could main phase cast the apparatus. I guess I can cast schemes, getting back schemes from exile first. Opponent's got a response. Maybe they're gonna interference now. Yep. Alright, fair enough. But we can still flash back this schemes to keep things going. And then, do I get rid of anything here? Yeah, maybe the Serum Snare, since it cannot bounce their creature land. And an Aetherize can go as well. I mean, we pretty much have all the tools we need. Just need to survive and get Mind Splice going. They're taking 7. Opponent milling themselves. If they have a hard counter left for Aetherize, we could be dead. But now Syncopate is useful too. So, not gonna mess around with the schemes this turn, just keep up interaction and Mind Splice. Opponent not gonna animate their creature land this time, so I don't have to Aetherize, can just take 3. Cast Apparatus, and then probably discard Apparatus. Or would rather keep Syncopate to protect the one that's on the stack. Don't really need Monastery. Okay, that resolved. Take my turn. So we now have a 3 mana discount, which is kind of the magic number as we draw another schemes. Okay, so we might be able to win right now, although opponent's also somewhat likely to have creature removal for the wizard token, so that's gonna complicate matters a little bit. So maybe start with schemes, get back the schemes from exile, since that's basically free. And then I can maybe get rid of the lands. Possible we'll need another counterspell. Although land is still useful here. Find another talent. Okay, so I can start looping schemes, but of course, besides drawing with talent, it doesn't accomplish anything. But I guess finding another counterspell is maybe the place to be. Just to get the perfect hand. Definitely don't need a third talent. Alright, found another Regency, that's useful too. But yeah, I gotta still discard something. With a 4 mana discount, it would be easier to flash back the schemes as well. Maybe I ditch the Aetherize and just plan to win right now. Alright, so play Regency. Discard islands. Then cast schemes. Could go for the counterspell too. I'll go for the counterspell. Opponent's got the cut down, that's fine. Not gonna fight over that one. And then another Regency, I guess, is reasonable to keep, although I will need more red mana too. Although I guess there's still a red mana on the stack, basically. Alright, I guess we'll ditch Syncopate since we're getting 3 steps instead. So then I can Regency again. Discard Mind Splice. And then, yeah, Mountain probably has to go. And then I'll play the Shivan Reef out, so we have 3 steps back up. Scheme, flashback scheme, make sure to target a different copy. Opponent's gotta shoot the Sheriff this time. So yeah, I can 3 steps, go to 1, and then hope this works. Get to draw and discard for free. Fall to 1. Keep another 3 steps, although it's not going to matter since we're out of blue mana. Schemes resolves. Alright, if they're out of removal, we've got the loop here. So yeah, we had to flush out a few spot removal spells. But I think we got there in the end. 1 life to spare. The Pain Lane's also not really doing us any favors there. And yeah, our opponent sees the infinite loop here and concedes. Awesome, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw with a fine hand. Got interaction, counter, can also draw, and then apparatus. Facing a white either control or life gain deck. Don't think I need to prioritize land 5. Looks like a life gain deck, so at least our creature removal will still be useful. And yeah, for now pass it back. The authority will trigger once we make our wizard token, otherwise it's not a concern. Let the Rune Lurker resolve. And then maybe next turn we'll sweep up with Brotherhood's End. So opponent's gonna gain 2 more life, so the case at least won't be solved yet. And we could also maybe bounce it with Serum Snare if that becomes a problem. But yeah, Brotherhood's End to clean up is pretty brutal here. And the Talent was a nice draw as well. So we can start digging through the deck. Essence Channeler is a little bit more threatening, as it can start growing, although it can still maybe end up bouncing it. For now, I think we just pass, end of turn Mind Splice, and then next turn I could play Talent, keep up 3 steps, or maybe Talent level up. Vanguard is acceptable. Gain 1 life, grow Channeler, can afford to take 4 here. And then we have most of the pieces we need. Time to play Talents. And then, yeah, let's just keep up some of our interaction as opposed to leveling this up right away. Ideally, we counter and copy the Mind Splice. So that normally costs 6 mana. Another threat here with a Pridemate. Yeah, that's also gonna gain life with a Vanguard now. Could just counter. Since we have another Apparatus in hand, I'm also potentially fine discarding Apparatus with 3 steps, but we can also do so with a Talent. So maybe we'll play it safe, just counter here. Don't get too greedy. Discard the Apparatus. Find our win condition. So now we just need to find some of our ways to recur cards out of the graveyard. Take 5. Serum Snare, end of turn is reasonable since I didn't get a chance to replay it. And we get to proliferate the Apparatus. Alright, there's a Schemes, so now we just need 1 more Schemes and it's game over. And I can always just get back some other instant, like 3 steps ahead. So that's pretty decent too. So, Schemes get back 3 steps. Discard Mountain. Find Brotherhood's End. And then, yeah, I can just pass a turn here. Could also flash back the Schemes, get something else back, while we have the floating mana. Let's see. If I level up Talent, I get a 4 mana discount. So then I guess I can still cast my 3 steps, countering and making a copy. So that also works. So counter, make a copy. Don't really need Brotherhood's End anymore. And then with the next 3 steps we can draw and discard as well. But yeah, we got all the cost reduction we'll ever need. So I could just start digging here with 3 steps. Or I can flash back the schemes. Get back another 3 steps. Discard, draw. I'm protective of the wizard token just in case our opponent finds removal for it. But I guess with double 3 steps I can afford to play it now. And then don't need apparatus number 3. Play the land. Pass a turn. So I can counter the opponent's next 2 plays while drawing a bunch of cards in the process. Don't feel inclined to abrade. Can just discard it to the talent trigger. I do have to be a little bit careful not to tap out completely in case they have instant speed removal. But this should be fine. Discard a braid. I guess I'll keep the surveil land to dig a little bit deeper. Can always 3 steps, end of turn again to draw and discard, but let's untap. Find another 3 steps. Alright, now we can definitely go digging. Making a copy is essentially free here. Could also copy the wizard token, I suppose, to speed things up. Find another talent. 2 more regencies. Don't need both. So play talents. Aetherize can also deal with creatures. Alright, fine, let's copy the wizard. Just trying to end the game right now. There we go. So now scheme. Get back scheme from exile. And that's our infinite loop. Can decline to draw with artist's talents. And at least with 2 wizards it goes a little bit faster. Could even make a 3rd, but let's just keep up our counter spells. Yeah, having an effect to get back cards from exile is pretty unique. So the schemes is pretty awesome. So we're gonna end up burning the life gain deck to death. Not something that is necessarily all that easy. Alright, so 2 more iterations of the loop should do it. Not close to timing out, luckily. And there we go. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw with a keepable hand. Missing interaction for more aggressive decks. So that's what we'll be looking for with stock up. Opponent on some sort of reanimator deck, maybe. Okay. 3rd apparatus is a bit overkill. So yeah, looks like reanimator Discard Italy, still illegal for a month here. So finding a counterspell is the best way to stop the Reanimator deck. But if they have Zombify, then I wouldn't be able to stop it. Aetherize, I guess, can still save me for a while, and then don't think a Braid does much for me. So untapped land it is. And then I have to discard to hand size as well. Yeah, I guess we'll discard Apparatus, even though it gives them more information. And luckily no Zombify on turn 4. So we do get to untap, maybe still draw into a counterspell. As our opponent keeps cycling through the deck. Discarding Urani now too. Alright, did not find what we were hoping for, but can end of turn Apparatus, and then hopefully still manage to beat whatever they reanimate. So Ragdo's going for Italy. Anything powerful they can find in our deck. 3 steps, doesn't do anything. And they found a Carnosaur, that's a good one. So that all happens. Carnosaur gets to discover into something else. Another Bitter Union. So we've got our work cut out for us. Discarding a Siege Breaker too now. Alright, so play Apparatus. Need to keep up Aetherize. So I could still play an Artist's Talent here. Hope they spend another reanimation spell getting back a creature for lethal. If they have artifact removal, we probably just lose, because then I wouldn't be able to cast my Aetherize. Rite of the Moth, get back another Italy. Alright. I guess I could hit my own Abrade to destroy the Apparatus now. It's just a 1 copy. And they found Augury. As well as Zombify. Get back another creature. Urani this time, at least doesn't target players. Don't think our opponent's going to be doing me a favor by proliferating the Apparatus. But they can proliferate Italy. So yeah, the opponent's deck pretty much doing everything according to plan. Give everyone haste, so this would be a lethal attack. I bet they're not expecting Aetherize here. Discard Burst Lightning. Could also discard Apparatus. But I might cast another copy. Everything back to hand. They could discard some of them end of turn, just to set up another reanimation spell. But now we also have a 3 steps to counter. Schemes could get back Aetherize, but I'm kind of hoping that we can just survive with 3 steps. Copying the Apparatus would also be pretty sweet here. If I level up Talent, I get a 3 mana discount, 3 mana left. So then, let's see, can we counter copy? We can. So yeah, I could level up Talent and then pass. Also discounts the other Apparatus. Another Rakdos joins up, fine to counter. And then next turn, we're in a position to combo kill, since we have double schemes already. So then we just need to find our wizard token. And with Artist Talent we have infinite card draw, so that should be game here. Stock Up can maybe speed things along. We have a counterspell for potential cut down on my wizard token as well. But yeah, casting Stock Up is not really necessary, since I can just infinitely draw with the schemes, and at some point find a wizard token for the win. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have a reasonable hand, just missing blue mana for Mind Splice, and I guess a second red for Brotherhood's End. But yeah, Artist's Talent can quickly improve our hands, have a Burst Lightning we can cast in the meantime. Put in blue-black. There's our blue. Make sure to resolve the talent, and blue-black might struggle to remove it. So then I'll just spend my turn leveling up the talent. Don't think I need Syncopate on 3 mana just yet. Waiting a turn on playing the Facade, so we maybe don't give away the fact that we're on a Mind Splice deck. Okay, opponent taps out for Preacher, so maybe more of a mid-range deck. That's fine, so we can pass or just resolve Mind Splice now. And then I'll still have Syncopate for 1 available, just in case. Something like a Shieldred would be a good one to counter. And then I guess Burst Lightning can still deal with Preacher if we kick it. Brotherhood's End doesn't seem all that well positioned unless we can combine it with Burst Lightning. But we'll find more creature removal. Okay, so I like my spot. I already have 1 Schemes. So we're close to going infinite. Maybe I should have considered dealing myself 1 with the Sheevan Reef. So the Preacher would not have triggered both modes. And this looks like a Kaito. Alright, so that's uncounterable thanks to Ninjutsu. And Burst Lightning can't target it right now. So yeah, that was a good one for them to sneak into play. Can still maybe bounce it with an Aetherize, since it doesn't target their hexproof creature. Alright, Augury's good too. So Facade can move a counter onto the Mind Splice, although we can Augury first. And then discard the Scheme, since we can always flash it back later. Although Schemes getting back Brotherhood's End, I guess, isn't the worst, since that can deal damage to Planeswalkers. Yeah, that's maybe reasonable too. So then, do I discard anything? I guess I would like to keep my land. Sure. And find another Schemes, so we can start looping them. So cast Schemes for 1 mana, get back Brotherhood's End. And discarding Schemes, since we can now flash them back for 1 mana each. So I guess if I move the oil counter onto Apparatus, we have a total of 4 mana discount. So I can infinitely loop the Schemes, which means infinite card draw with the talents, which means we'll find the Regency at some point. Opponent does have a black mana up, however, so that can also maybe interfere. And then now, yeah, what are we thinking? I guess I'll just ditch the Brotherhood's End after all. So keep looping these. And then I haven't played land for a turn yet. So if I cast Regency, technically I can still have Syncopate as backup. Don't need both copies of Aetherize. There's a Regency. So if they don't have Cut Down, this should be easy. If they do have Cut Down, I guess we still have the Syncopate, so yeah. I think we've taken care of all possible outcomes. Wow, that's impressive. Yeah, I guess if you have enough of a discount, just looping Schemes with talent will get the job done. Counter unless you pay 4, just because. We'll get a red mana here in a second. Also seeing the value of Facade, giving us that extra oil counter, so we could immediately go off with the Apparatus. I mean, I could stop discarding and drawing at this point. Maybe there's a chance we time out and then I'll want a slightly better hand, but I probably waste more time clicking through all the talent triggers. In fact, we could go to the gameplay settings and check auto-order triggered abilities, so the talent and wizard trigger don't require an extra click. But yeah, looks like our opponent has scooped it up, so that'll do it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. Hand is not ideal. We have 2 sweepers, no double blue for 3 steps, no engine card to discount our spells. Could be okay if we're up against an aggro deck where Brotherhood's End is effective, of course. But I'll still mulligan. This is a bit more balanced. And then maybe I don't need Augury. Keep stock up as a nice 2-for-1. Schemes as part of our combo, and another way to maybe get back a key spell. Opponent on a slower red deck. Yeah, let me just play this as a land. Does mean I won't have double blue up next turn if we draw 3 steps. But I was probably just gonna stock up. Finding Mind Splice and Talent, so those are the cards we want. If they are on a Boros control deck, it could be Boros tokens. So then they could have Get Lost for my enchantments, but it's going to be harder for them to remove my apparatus, unless they're still packing a Braid. But that's a card that probably sees less play now that Steel Cutter has been banned. Opponent with a face down card, I see. So this is not what I had in mind. So this is basically the Dragonstorm combo deck. And the face down card is basically a land. So all we need to do is find a counterspell. And then our opponent can't really do much. Their Syncopate, that's what we needed. So keep that available for 1 is enough, so we can counter the Dragonstorm, and then we can get the Talent in play, so that we can further our own plan as well. So we need to keep getting back the counterspell with the schemes. So yeah, this explains why our opponent hasn't done anything so far. It's because their deck can't be running any cheap cards, otherwise it interferes with the Cascade combo. So now we get to untap. I can schemes back Syncopates. Can discard Brotherhood's End, don't care about the face down card. And then I can still Regency, play the land. And then discarding schemes is fine too. So next turn we should be able to combo. Since we will get a 3-mana discount either with Talent or with Apparatus getting an extra counter. We have double schemes, we have the Wizard token, so that's all we need. Alright, so unless they have a Carnosaur to destroy the Wizard, they shouldn't be able to interfere. Take my turn. So I could level up the Talent for starters. So we get a 4-mana discount, so flashing back schemes is only 1 mana. Schemes get back schemes. And yeah, we'll see if our opponent's got any interaction in hand. Can ditch the Serum Snare, perhaps. Still haven't played land for a turn. Get back schemes from exile. Rinse and repeat. So I could still potentially make another Wizard token this turn and keep comboing. But yeah, so far it seems like they don't have the Carnosaur. So then 1-3 steps could go. Schemes get back schemes, and the opponent realizes what's happening and concedes. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a Somewhat painful hand with double Shivan Reef, got counter spells and apparatus. So it's weak to aggro, since we're maybe not interacting right away. But being on the play does help. We can maybe syncopate their 2-drop. And our opponent's on blue-black. Yeah, the blue-black mid-range decks, I guess, seem quite popular at the moment. And let's counter the bats. Our opponent knowing about a card like Aetherize also makes it a lot less effective. And then I do need to play Shivan Reef if I want to keep up 3 steps. I would prefer to be able to copy apparatus or draw extra cards with the additional spree modes. But yeah, let's just keep it simple. Counter Gix. Keep the board clear. And then I might main phase the apparatus to play around opposing counter spells. And then we start racking up oil counters. The schemes was a decent pickup, can get back our 3 steps. Although for now I'm also not opposed to playing another apparatus in the opponent's end step. Or we could cast a 2-mana talent, which is a little bit harder for them to counter if they rely on Phantom Interference. I think I go for another apparatus first. Makes use of all my mana. Opponent did have a Drowner here. And another one. Alright, I guess I'm down to resolve the apparatus now. And then next turn we have Aetherize to interact with their creatures. Hopefully they don't have Kaito. Just take 4. So, step 1, I guess play the talents. And then schemes only costs 1 mana, so we kind of just want to find another schemes here. For now, get back Syncopate I can still keep available, 3 steps I cannot, although I'm somewhat likely to want to Aetherize. So I'll still go for 3 steps. Opponent's got another Drowner. And then I'll keep the Regency, although then again our opponent's somewhat likely to have some creature removal. So the Wizard token's unlikely to live here. Alright, so I can schemes back schemes, keep looping those to sculpt the perfect hand. Although there's not much I want to change to this hand, to be fair. So maybe I just pass. Or I could dig for a Brotherhood's End, for instance. Yeah, I guess I can keep digging for Brotherhood's End and still cast it. Unless they have a counterspell. So yeah, we're at the draw my entire deck stage of the game already. Village would be a way to make our spells uncounterable, but probably don't need it here. Augury also pretty good with double Mind Splice in play, but a 3 mana discount is plenty. So we're just digging for Brotherhood's Ends. Gonna feel safer passing without any creatures in play. But yeah, technically, we could go for lethal by casting the Regency if our opponent doesn't have instant speed removal. The wizard can just burn them to death. But a blue-black mid-range deck is going to have some spot removal, so we'll respect it. And then next turn, by flashing back the schemes, it shouldn't be too difficult to end the game. There we go, Brother's End. So now we can cast it. Hope they don't have a counterspell left. And then I can discard the scheme since we can just flash it back. That worked. And then, sure, I'll play my land out. So yeah, next turn we should have it with counterspell backup. Maybe they can mess with my graveyard somehow to interfere. And Gix's command, returning 2 creatures, that's fine. So our opponent's pretty much tapped out, only 1 mana left, so a counterspell should cover it. Flashback schemes, get back schemes. And our opponent has seen enough. We can draw through our entire deck, find another Regency, and protect it with our 3 steps to win the game. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. This hand is missing some blue mana, so don't love it. Do have Mind Splice, but yeah, we're gonna struggle to hit our land drops. This one at least has talent to help me draw. Ditch the Aetherize. Facing a red-white. Make that Jeskai, so Jeskai control can be a tough matchup, since they will have answers to most of my permanents, including my enchantment. And right now we're relying on talent to hit our land drops. Yeah, this doesn't look great, but I just need to draw here. Discard maybe 1 Apparatus, or I can discard the schemes. I can always flash it back later. Did not draw the land. So if we don't get there next turn, it's probably game over. At least our opponent's not pressuring us too much, so that's the upside here. Alright, we got there. Don't think I bother leveling up talent, since that's just begging for it to get destroyed. Can Augury to at least hit our land drop for next turn. Ghost Vacuum, that is relevant. Although we can at some point destroy it. So that can exile the schemes, so we can't loop them as easily. Although we can still get it back from exile with another copy. So might have to ditch the 3 steps, even though counterspells are very good. Well, now we probably can ditch an Apparatus. Find a land, although it's tapped. That's not ideal. Do we prefer Syncopate or another talent? Probably another talent. Alright, so now I can go for Mind Splice, discard Mind Splice. And then at some point we'll find a Braid or Brotherhood's End to deal with the Vacuum. Well, I'm glad our opponent's not being more proactive. I might regret discarding the 3rd Apparatus if they successfully counter the first 2. Exhale without a dragon to reveal, still 3 mana up. So now, if I were to level up talent, we still can't play Apparatus for 3 mana, but maybe talent level up, play another talent is fine. Opponent negates, so they had the 2nd Apparatus covered. Our hand's still decent. We managed to get rid of some key cards from the opponent's hand. Just gotta hope they have more useless creature removal in hand. For now, untapped land could be beneficial. So I can maybe Apparatus. And 3 steps, I guess we would have been able to do that anyway. Helix end of turn, 3 mana left. Could be an okay window to try Apparatus now. With 3 steps back up. Opponent counters again, revealing Shiko this time. Only counter spells and Helix to get back. So yeah, I'll fight over it, even though we're gonna be empty-handed when the dust settles. Another Syncopate helps, and I can actually cast it for X equals 1 here. Although, is that gonna help me? Maybe it does if they don't have a land for Shiko. Alright, they did have the land, so now Syncopate for 1 no longer works. That's too bad. So now I regret keeping it in hand. So we're going to be at 14, facing a 4-powered dragon. Vacuum means that if I top deck schemes, it's not incredibly helpful. So yeah, this is not where we want it to be. I'll keep land in hand to discard to the talent. And then syncopate for X equals currently 4 here is hopefully enough. Stock up's a good one. Yeah, I need to fight over it, I think. Also just to get an extra talent trigger. That's exiled, so they can get it back with another Shiko. And we need to surveil. Schemes. I guess I keep. I can get back the schemes that's exiled. And get a talent trigger. Helix is down to 7, so if they have another Helix in hand, we're dead. It's going to be Beza while empty-handed for the redraw. Still have Ghost Vacuum available. So, yeah, targeting a card in graveyards doesn't make a ton of sense. Although I guess it does maybe force them to use the vacuum in the first place, and then I can flash back schemes and keep going from there. So maybe it's not a terrible idea. Because we technically have the tools we need to combo off here. Alright, opponent let us get back 3 steps. It's still a card draw spell, so it's still useful. So schemes, flashback, get back schemes, or we can 3 steps, draw firsts. Can I make a copy of Mind Splice for free? Not quite, since we have a 4 mana discount and not a 5 mana one. So I'll keep 3 steps in hand. Discard Facade adds a counter to the apparatus, so it's not completely useless. I think talent is going to be better for us. I probably should have flashed back schemes before they got a chance to exile it with vacuum, otherwise we would have needed another copy. So I think I'm still happy to keep the talents. Get back schemes, make a mana, play talents, discard 3 steps maybe, and then schemes, getting back schemes from exile. We can keep looping, although at some point I guess I do need to make a wizard token first, and that's going to require an extra card in hand. Can level this up for a 5 mana discount, is it needed? Not really. So it's a little convoluted, but I think we're getting there if their last card isn't a relevant interaction. And now Serum Snare could also bounce the vacuum, but vacuum's not really interfering. There we go. There's the Regency. Yeah, let's just make the token now. Keep schemes in hand. Play schemes, or I can flash back the copy first, get back 3 steps. And then I can cast schemes, get back the schemes from exile. Alright, now I need to speed up a little bit. But yeah, we should have all the pieces now with 3 steps backup as well to protect the wizard. Opponent's gonna maybe decide to pull the trigger on Ghost Vacuum, but then we can just flash back the schemes that's now ending up in the graveyard. So that should do it. So yeah, there's our infinite combo. Wow. This was a game where we almost didn't hit our land drops initially. And our opponent explodes. Awesome. Alright, so we got to see this blue-red scheme combo deck in action. And yeah, it's a pretty satisfying win condition once you get all the pieces in play. It is not the fastest combo deck in the format for sure, so if you're up against very aggressive decks, they can often get there before you do. But hopefully now, with a lot of the red cards being banned, the format has at least slowed down by half a turn. So hopefully that gives us enough breathing room to establish the combo, still have a decent amount of interaction, and we're also prepared for the blue-white artifact decks with all those copies of Brotherhood's End, the bounce spells for all their construct tokens. So if the blue-white artifact deck becomes popular, I like my chances. Against control and mid-range, we're also pretty well positioned, so it's mostly other very fast aggressive decks that are the problem, and we should be seeing fewer of those nowadays. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.